Welcome to the More Than ADHD podcast, episode 16, Delegation Without Guilt, Freeing Yourself to Focus on What Truly Matters. I'm Ryan Mayer, certified ADHD coach, corporate neuroinclusion consultant, and master facilitator. If this is your first time here, just know you belong. And to help remind you that you belong, make sure that you click subscribe. That's how we're going to get this inclusion revolution to reach more people. Especially comment, because that really helps. Speaking of commenting below, here's a question that I would love to get your thoughts on. So if you're on a platform where you can comment, please answer this question. What is one task that you wish you could hand off to someone else right now? That's right. Today on episode 16, we're going to be digging into a topic that a lot of us who are neurodivergent might struggle with, delegation. I always say ADHD is so fascinating to me because we are some of the best helpers in the world. Think about it. We would go the extra mile. We would go the extra 20 or 100 miles to help someone else, but yet we struggle asking for help ourselves. Why is that? If you've ever felt guilty asking for help, this is the episode for you. I'm going to be including a lot of recommendations, suggestions, and free resources, so make sure to watch all the way to the end. I'm so excited to share with you ADHD-friendly ways to delegate efficiently so you can build a support team and start focusing on the things that you actually want to be spending time on. But before we go any further, I want to say thank you to our sponsors. Today's program is brought to you by ADHD Online. They're changing lives with ADHD assessments, resources, and tools to help you thrive. Check out their link in the show notes for more. And you can put in this code, which Coach Ryan's putting above his head, Coach Ryan 50 for $50 off your initial ADHD assessment. Okay, let's start with why delegation feels so hard, especially for those of us who have ADHD. Well, for many of us, delegation or asking for help is tied to guilt and shame. I know that for me personally, I've always struggled with math and quantitative kind of subjects. So starting in junior high, I just knew this was not my strength and I had to ask for a lot of help. Maybe that's why I'm a good delegator now, because I'm just not afraid to ask for help. But if that is hard for you, don't worry. We've got ideas to help. Ryan, reminder, make sure to hydrate if you haven't already. So pause this and take a drink of water. As my clients know, I feel like shame is tied to the word should, because I always say should comes from shame. We feel that we should, I'm using air quotes, be able to handle the work that's given to us or the tasks, and we should be able to do it the way that everyone else does. But the fact is, we're wired differently. I mean, even just that word should, it's just dripping with expectations. And for those of us with ADHD, it might trigger feelings or memories of inadequacy that we've experienced throughout our entire lives, both personally and professionally. Here are a couple personal examples that I can think of just off the top of my head. Here at the Mayer House, we have pretty much the same family routine every morning when the kids go to school. However, on the days when I am in charge of getting our son onto the bus, it's my job to manage all the things that lead up to that point. But I really struggled in being able to remember what times, what things were supposed to happen. So in order to do that, I asked for help and I delegated the executive function to my wife. And what we did was we just worked together to write down a list with specific times. So that way, when I forget, which I know I probably will every single week, I can look at this list and it really helps me. So delegation could be that simple, just not feeling the need to keep something in our heads because it's okay to write it down. Professionally, there's two things that popped to my head right away, and they both have to do with entering notes into CRM systems. For those of you who are not in the business world, CRM stands for Client Relationship Management. So this could be something like Salesforce or HubSpot. Anyway, we just need to enter things so that the company or our managers can log in to just track what we're doing to help manage us and guide us and lead us to success. Well, anyone with ADHD who's in sales knows there's some resistance for putting the notes into these CRM systems. And they were, in fact, the downfall of many of my previous sales jobs, because even if I hit the quota or if I got the job done, people might not know about it if it wasn't reflected accurately in the system. So what I did was I have now asked for help and have designated times where I body double with my virtual assistant, who's been on my team now for 3 years, and we put the notes in together. I extract them out of my notebook where I've handwritten it, and I put it into the system. So again, there's so much shame from previous failures that I've had, but now I've just realized I have to have this radical acceptance that my brain is the way it is, and it's okay to ask for help. So I want you to think about what's something that you're not asking for help on because you just feel like you should be able to do it yourself. And then the other one that comes up right away is bookkeeping and accounting. So previous to me outsourcing this, when I was trying to do it myself, because I had a lot of pride, it's my own business, Ryan Mayer Coaching. So I should be able to know who has paid their bill for coaching, who hasn't. Is somebody 2 months behind? What's our expected revenue for the month? Just things like that. And when I would get together each month to review our family budget with Andrea, she would just ask the simple question, which I knew was coming, by the way. So, did we make money this month? And that question sent me in this shame spiral where I'm going to dig through all of my different accounting softwares to figure out who paid and who didn't. And since we're in a safe space, there were times where there was clients who had gone 2 or 3 months without paying, who I was still coaching pretty much for free. And sometimes they didn't even realize they weren't paying either. Please pay attention. Announcement here at Delegation Station. Here comes the most important tip of the day. And it's a mindset shift. Delegation is not about admitting weakness. It's about building strength. Wait, what? No, really. It's about figuring out what we do well and finding ways to do more of that more often and stop wasting our energy doing the things we're not good at. There's a community of people who understand these struggles. It's the Ryan Mayer Coaching digital community located on Patreon. It feels so good for me to know that for the hundreds of people that are part of this community, we all have a safe space to share. So if you feel like you've been going on this journey alone, please join us. It is free to join. The link is in the show notes, and there are so many people out there who can relate to where you're at and have suggestions on how you might be able to make it better. Together, we can break down the guilt. We can share resources. We can celebrate each other's wins. And it just feels so good to see other people winning every day. So I'm so proud of all of you who are already part of the community. And if you're not, please accept my personal invite to you right now. One of my clients who's a business owner is actually the one who inspired this next section of the podcast. It helped me to reframe the way that I think about delegation. So I wanted to share it with you. So here's the question that he brought up that I want to share with you now. What is the most valuable thing that only you can bring to your work or your life? Now ask yourself this quick follow-up question. What's stopping you from spending more of your time doing that? Here's an exercise that you can do really quickly, and it's what I talk to a lot of my clients about who are feeling overwhelmed, like they have too much on their plate. So what I'm holding up, in case you are just on a platform where you're listening, I'm holding up a piece of paper with 2 columns. And on one side, it's got a green battery, like a fully charged battery with an upward arrow. In other words, it brings energy. You feel recharged. It energizes you. And in the right column is an empty, almost empty battery with a downward arrow, meaning it drains your battery. It takes more energy. You don't do it very well. So make these 2 columns and list out as many things as you can think of. Just brain dump. Here are all the things I enjoy doing that make me feel more alive, that are using my skill set. And on the other side, what are the things that I do, whether it's in my business or in my life, that I just don't enjoy, that feel like they might suck your soul? I came to this realization after I had what I think may have been a panic attack. And this was at the very beginning of the business because I'd seen a commercial for this website service where it's so easy, anyone can do it. Like drag and drop, anyone can do this. You don't have to have any technology background. And I spent 1 hour on it, and I had just so much panic where I'm like, this should be easy. Why can't I do this? And I'm like, you know what? This is not healthy. I need to just ask for help. Because for those of us who are entrepreneurs, I know you can relate to this. We wear a lot of hats. We're doing marketing, sales. We're actually delivering the product itself. We're doing bookkeeping, financing, advertising, all on top of the coaching itself. So that's a lot. Now, all of the things that I don't enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis are completely off my plate. Bookkeeping, interviewing, posting jobs, administrative work, email marketing. It's all gone. So I get to focus on coaching and content creation. That's about it. If you want to learn more about how to do this, I'd be happy to help because I have to share this message. I'm so excited to share a bunch of resources with you too on this, including one of the very most important ones that I have used in my journey, INVA. It stands for Inclusive Neurodivergent Virtual Assistants. The CEO of the company is my own virtual assistant. So she has picked up on my mission and is now carrying it out to the rest of the world, this inclusion revolution. It's a ripple effect of bringing support to the people who need it so that we can do what we do best. So definitely look down below. You can click a link to set up a call with them. I would be so happy if you did that. Another resource that has also been absolutely incredible for over the past year for me are the folks at WorkSitter. Isn't it interesting? When someone's sitting with you, you seem to be able to do the work that you were supposed to do, but couldn't do when you were by yourself for some reason. So the folks at WorkSitter have capitalized on this. It was co-founded and inspired by a fellow neurodivergent just like us. And they will sit with you, the virtual assistant team members. They will sit with you and body double to help keep us on track. They can do it remotely. It's incredible. So the link for that is down low as well. Just as I get to focus on what means the most to me and what I'm best at, how I can best bring value to the world, I want that same thing for you. Think about how different your day-to-day life, your personal life or your professional life could be if you had other people, a team of people around you who not only wanted to help, but were actually way better at the tasks that you are not good at. My director of marketing does all of the graphic design. I have a website designer who does all of the design work. So I don't have to stress out over the things that I'm not good at. And they're all very reasonably priced. I'm going to have links down below. I want to help you and help them by getting everybody connected. Honestly, being able to ask for help was a huge weight that was lifted off of me. It actually reminds me a lot of those of you who might be out there carrying that burden of wondering, do you have ADHD? And that's why I want to make sure the resource I always mention are the folks that are able to bring this podcast to you for free, which is the great team over at ADHDonline.com. They have a revolutionary asynchronous ADHD assessment so you can get your diagnosis faster than was ever possible before. And it's done all by certified clinical professionals. So you can check out, again, link will be below in the show notes, or you can just go to ADHDonline.com and at checkout, just use this code right here above my head, which is Coach Ryan50 for $50 off. We've helped now nearly, I want to say it's almost 300 people, and we want to keep that going. So at least set up a call, see if they might be able to help you. You might be thinking to yourself, okay, Ryan, this sounds really nice, but how do we actually do it? Well, I'm so glad that you hypothetically asked because I'm going to tell you right now. Let's break it down into the steps of how you can start delegating today. I mentioned this before, but step one is to simply do a brain dump. Set aside some time, maybe even set a timer for 10 minutes. It could be a time timer. We love time timer here at Ryan Mayer Coaching and the More Than ADHD podcast. Set a timer and then divide your paper or your Word document into two columns. The first column are the things that energize you, the things that you are uniquely skilled to do. And then on the other half are the things that you don't do well, the things that drain your battery. And what this exercise will do is help you to very quickly realize all of the different areas that you can ask for more help in. Because that whole column of things that you don't do well, you don't enjoy doing, whether it's taxes or coding or customer service or whatever the thing is, there are people out there that do this as a job. They love to help. And believe it or not, I know there are times where we can have all or nothing thinking. I know, shocking. But you can start small. That's actually step two. Start with something small. Just pick one thing from your dread list that you can delegate this week. And if you're not sure where to start on that, you can reach out to the folks at INVA. You can reach out to the folks at WorkSitter, the two different organizations I've already mentioned, or just comment below. Talk about what it is that you're struggling with, what you want to get off your plate, and we can help you find someone. Step 3 in the process of delegation without guilt is an exercise that I refer to as start, stop, continue. Now, this is something that I brought over from the business world. Business consultants can use this to drill down and get to the core issues that a business might be facing. We can also do this for our own personal and professional lives. So it's pretty simple. This is a 3-column setup. So whether it is on a tablet or piece of paper, a sticky note, or your notebook, whatever, 3 columns. The first is start, the middle is stop, the third is continue. So what are the things that you want to start doing if you haven't done already? So you could start asking for help, or you could start focusing more on the things that you are good at. In the second column, stop. These are things that you know you shouldn't be doing. For example, I told that story about when I tried to design my website. It became very clear that this was not a good idea for me to be doing. Another personal example, and I can't even make this up, is that when Andrea and I first were married, I said, well, you know what, honey, I'll handle the bills. I'll get those paid. You know, you're doing a lot of things here, organizing the house, buying the groceries, planning our schedules. I'll do the bills. That was a really bad idea. Because about 4 months in, we got sent our second warning from the electric company that if we didn't pay our bill, they were going to shut off the lights. So I learned my lesson there, and I was willing to say, hey, this is not a strong suit of mine. So Andrea has, ever since that cold Cleveland winter where we almost lost heat and power, she has been the one to take care of paying the bills. And we do that during our monthly budget committee meeting. So we're very much a team, and we're helping each other. But delegation is truly a way to bring you power. And the last thing is continue. So what are the things that have been working well? What are the things that you know you're good at? It brings value to others. It brings revenue to your company. Keep doing those. Sometimes just doing these simple exercises, they can just have these light bulb, speaking of lights, it can just have this light bulb moment for you like, oh yeah, I should just be doing more of that. It was when I was doing the start, stop, continue exercise that I realized group coaching was where I really thrived, and it was a great way to scale my business. So whether you're a coach or you are someone who might be looking for support with your ADHD, I strongly recommend checking out group coaching. You can look in my profile or on the website, book a call with us. We have 4 different groups. There's lots of challenges that those of us with ADHD face, but one of the biggest ones is perfectionism. This is something that you don't have to have ADHD to suffer from this, but anyone who runs a company may fall into the mindset of, well, no one's going to be able to do this as good as me. Just let me handle it. Let me handle it. The problem is there's only so much time in a day. There's only so many hours in a workday or days in a week. And we can't do everything. We can't wear all of the hats. But here's the thing. Perfectionism isn't your friend. It's fear dressed up in fancy clothes. Because you know what fear stands for? False evidence appearing real. So you think no one else can do it better than you, but have you actually tried? I know, for example, when I was growing extremely rapidly in social media, it got to the point where I would be running my coaching business during the day, and then pretty much most of my time in the evening was trying to respond to comments, manage all the things that were going on, post duets, check out the other things that were trending, schedule my content. And it just wasn't feasible. You know, Andrea and I had a growing family, and I'll never forget the moment where I made the decision, it's time to ask for help. It was when I was walking through the living room with my face in my phone, getting all like riding the dopamine roller coaster that is social media. And Andrea said to me, Ryan, and without looking up from my phone, yeah, honey, Ryan, uh-oh, am I in trouble? So I looked up. Yeah. She said, hey, sometimes I feel like you care more about your followers than you do about your family. I literally dropped my phone and I went over and I gave her a hug and I said, I'm so sorry, because that's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to go for. It was just a little bit of vulnerability here. It was the first time in my whole career that I felt like what I had to say mattered. And so I was getting very caught up in that. And I'm so glad that Andrea called me out. That's what you have to do when you are teammates, partners in life. And so I said, I'm going to start looking for help. So I reached out to a mentor, asked for some advice. He said, post it on LinkedIn, see if you can get some people to offer their help. And I did. And I think I had something like 30 people apply. It was incredible. So if you're ever looking for help, that's another great place to go is LinkedIn. You can post a job for free. So anyway, I did that. And that was the beginning of my delegation journey. And I haven't looked back. Because here's the thing. Delegation is not about giving up control. It's about creating systems to regain your control. And I know that, like so many of you, the word system might sound a little overwhelming or intimidating if you have ADHD. So let's try to break this down a little easier. And in fact, this is where I want to give you a free resource. We have our ADHD friendly productivity guide. We want to give this away to you completely for free because, again, we put this content out there to help more people, to let you know you're not alone. So please check out the link down in the show notes. You can download it for free. Do you feel like I've given you enough resources yet? What's that? No? Oh, okay, no problem. I'm going to give you a whole bunch more right now. Here we go. If you want to dig deeper into some of the higher level strategies when it comes to delegation, here are some of the books that I've read that I would highly recommend to really free up your time to be focusing on what matters most. The first book is called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. So this is all about the art of utilizing virtual assistants so that you can get your time back, obviously. This book is all about reclaiming your time and your focus. 4-Hour Work Week, sort of an oldie but a goodie. It's absolutely a professional development classic, and it's all about working smarter, not harder. And I am so guilty of this in past jobs. I felt like if I just worked longer, then I could get ahead. But that's just never the case. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably have had that sort of cognitive distortion of thinking, yeah, I can just put in more time and everything will be okay. That's not sustainable. You already know that in your gut. So why not ask for help? Another book that I love and always recommend is called Deep Work. This is by Cal Newport. So he is someone who, as he puts it, he's very hard to reach, and that's intentionally because his whole thing is like, we only have so much time to give. And if we're giving it away to everyone else, we're not going to be able to focus on what means the most and is going to move our business or our goals forward. There's actually a concept from his book that I reference a fair amount. It's called attention residue. So what he says is that basically every time you get that buzz in your pocket or bling, you have a notification or you see something pop up on an email or you decide to go scroll for a while, anytime you try to bring yourself back to what you were originally working on, he says that there's this attention residue, which means it's going to take up to 20 minutes to get back into full focus or deep work, as he calls it. Another book by an author I really like, his name is Gino Wickman, and the book is called Rocket Fuel. This is your roadmap for how to pair up what they refer to as a visionary and an implementer. So this was a follow-up book on his original bestseller for small business, which is called Traction. It has a lot of really good systems, but the one that's more focused on really delegating to elevate your game, that was his actual phrase from his first book, Traction, delegate to elevate. But to do that, you need to have the right person. I've experienced that with my virtual assistant teams, my social media teams. So Rocket Fuel, if you're ready to just take off, the sky's the limit. Rocket Fuel is a book to check out too. I'll have all of these linked in the show notes below, so make sure to check those out. Here is your call to action to wrap things up. Delegation is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. So here's your challenge that I'll invite you to do after this episode. 2 steps. First step is write down a task that you know drains energy, and step 2 is take steps on getting it off of your plate and asking someone else for help with it. Feel free to comment below and let us know, what's that task going to be? Because we are 4 times more likely to do something when we share it publicly. So why not increase your odds, right? A huge thank you to our sponsors over at ADHD Online for bringing today's episode to you. They are moving mountains over there. They're changing the landscape of how ADHD treatment is brought to the world. So I couldn't be more proud to partner with them to be able to get others, including you, maybe, the answers you're seeking. And hey, even if you already have an ADHD diagnosis, ADHD Online can still help. They can help with medication management. They can also help you to find a qualified provider if you're looking for a new therapist. And don't forget to use that personalized discount code that I've made for all of you, which is Coach Ryan 50 for $50 off of whatever you end up exploring with them. Thank you for joining me here on the More Than ADHD podcast, episode 16, Delegation Without Guilt, focusing on what matters most. And I want to remind you, ADHD does not define you because you are more than your ADHD. It's just a part of you. So let's keep focusing on what matters most, what's going to get us to those results, because results get respect. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Please give it a like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who you think might benefit from it. And as always, if you haven't heard it yet today, just want to let you know, I love you. We'll talk to you next time.